Oh yeah, here I read this last year. I read a lot of these over and over again because it's like it's great to understand public consciousness at the time. Post 9/11 thread for people to post the wildest shit they remember from '01 to '06. I'll start. People thought Osama had an entire mountain hollowed out that he was using as his base, and that's why Al-Qaeda was hard to find, that somehow a group of like 30 dudes arranged this. Of course, who could forget? French fries were no longer called French fries. They were called freedom fries because France refused to help the United States of America. The Speaker of the House was a pedophile wrestling coach. Men bought cases of French wine and poured them in the Chesapeake because the French refused to join the OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom. We created freedom barricades, protest pens, and free speech zones to make normal people feel safe. Protesters gather at the French consulate. Demonstrators attack country's stance on war, boycotting products. We put half a dozen kids. The Heritage Foundation didn't think were good enough to hire themselves in charge of Iraq's $16 billion national budget. We had a doctor who created surgical dick lengthening procedures act as our representative to lead the religious authority in Iraq. The CIA rehabbed Gaddafi very, very fast because they needed a win by having Gaddafi hand us a bunch of old chemical weapons we probably gave him so we looked like we were doing something. Toby Keith wrote an entire song about how we needed to kill Arabs, which I played earlier in the morning. When I first started the stream, one of my favorites. Dick Cheney was discovered to have a map carving Iraq up with the locations of what oil companies get what chunk of the country prior to the invasion. That's so odd, dude. What's that about? Guys, it's just not about fucking oil, man. It's just a silly way to say it. We found out that the president interviewed dozens of military experts to find one who wouldn't be such a downer about invading Iraq. We created a do not fly list with like 900K names on it. Oh, for the record, one of those advisors was one of my professors in college. I don't even remember his name, which was like where I learned about an entire room full of people telling George W. Bush and the entire White House to not invade Iraq due to what like undermining Saddam Hussein would do to the region. But the point is this. There were people at the time who were openly stating, don't do this. This is not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. Bill Maher was taken off the air for saying the one smart thing he ever uttered. We have been the cowards, lobbing cruise missiles from 2,000 miles away, staying in the airplane when it hits the building. Say what you want about it. It's not cowardly. This was the only time Bill Maher's ever gotten a W. Shut the fuck up, Weeby. Tom Clancy, a guy whose entire shtick is writing revenge fantasies about killing non-Americans, was nicer to / about Muslims on 9/11 than most Democrats were for the following decade. I didn't see anyone be this nice in years.
Now, one of the problems with being a writer of fiction is that you can't keep up with all the madmen in the world as much as you try. I frankly would have thought that this was not a credible threat to have 4 separate people decide to commit suicide in the same way on the same morning.
Why not?
Because ending your own life is not something the average person does. You know, everybody's assuming these are Islamic terrorists. Well, if so, they've defiled their own religion. You know, Islam does not permit suicide. It says you go to hell if you do something like this.
He's right.
Suicide bombings in the Middle East and in Israel. And
Judy, we saw people in Northern Ireland, Catholics acting like savages and Protestants acting like savages. So anyhow, we have people who call themselves Muslims acting like savages. It happens. It's not because of their religion. It's because they're fools.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Northern Ireland. At least he said fucking Protestants as well. But it's like, I don't know, maybe liberation, like kind of honest and earnest. By the way, ironic because like this dude literally nails it when he goes, it's just a group of individuals. Like, this is not about Muslims. It's not about Islam. Like, it literally goes against the principles of Islam to like kill yourself. It is a major sin. It's the worst sin. Suicide is haram. A senator in Republican leadership was caught on tape saying he wishes desegregation had never happened, and not only was he never unseated, the only reason he left office was because of a new law that made lobbying immediately after exiting illegal. Strom Thurmond, who was eulogized by motherfucking Joe Brandon. Strom Thurmond, the one mentioned above, dies at 100 years old. Immediately, his 78-year-old daughter reveals that he was her father and proves it. Her mother was Thurmond's maid, who he raped when she was a minor, and he was in his 20s. He ran a segregationist campaign over 20 years later. I just want to mention one more time that Joe Brandon eulogized Strom Thurmond. Joe Brandon, the current president of the United States of America, if you are a libtard who believes that he's really the president and it's not actually just Donald Trump, eulogized him. A lobbyist named Jack Abramoff is caught in one of the biggest bribery scandals ever. Virtually nothing happens to any of the people named. His idea of dressing himself so no one catches him was to dress like this. The House Majority Leader was caught up in the scandal, and the Republican Party tried to tell everyone that this was just Democrats trying to weaken our country so the terrorists can win, and George Bush will then look bad. An anti-gay Republican senator is caught trying to get a blowjob from a man in an airport bathroom. He then tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding. He claimed that he was just tapping his foot, leaving out the part that he was reaching under the stall divider. Scalia's Supreme Court justice cites 24 in regards to a Supreme Court decision pertaining torture. He said in 24, torture works to undermine terrorists. If there was a hypothetical situation like that and torture was the only way to extract information like Jack fucking Bauer, I would not want to make that unconstitutional. Oh my fucking God. It's like pissing me off. That's real. This is a country where we did that. Here's the Jack Bauer quote, by the way. Supreme Court Justice cites Jack Bauer in the Hollywood torture show 24 as a relevant background for constitutional jurisprudence. Antonin Scalia, rest in piss, okay? Rest in piss to Antonin Scalia. Never should have put an Italian in the motherfucking Supreme Court. Also, famously made the slippery slope argument against gay marriage. Literally said, if we allow men to marry men, then what's next? Are we going to allow men to fuck dogs? He said that. He fucking said that shit. A week after 9/11, Bush calls the war against Afghanistan a crusade, a holy one. Yeah, Islam is the violent religion, by the way. Also, God told me to invade Afghanistan, is what George W. Bush said. In the era of the Patriot Act being discussed, the Attorney General freaked out about a statue of Justice having tits and draped a bedsheet over her so no one could see them sweet marble breastises. The U.S. Justice Department has spent $8,000 on curtains to hide the statue from the cameras. 2007, Bush's aid czar, Randall Tobias, mandated that organizations oppose prostitution in order to receive American aid. It later emerged that Randy was a client of the D.C. Madam, though he claimed he only bought massages, presumably with a happy ending. 2005, a fake reporter named Jeff Gannon asked a softball question at the Bush press conference. He was later revealed to be a gay porn star working for a right-wing site owned by a Texas-based Republican activist. Seriously, this one is funny. You should read it because even people who were obsessed with news at the time forgot Bush was manufacturing his own reporting. Fake reporter unmasked at the White House. This is the one. It wasn't enough that the media was collectively sucking the administration's cock and like literally reporting uncritically every single thing that piece of shit demon Donald Rumsfeld was fucking spewing out on a daily fucking basis, but they also had their fake guys to ask like bullshit questions. But remember, exactly, we do not have state media. Manufacturing consent is just like fucking bullshit. After Democrats spent years thinking Karl Rove was a master genius, it turned out that he just knew a good hacker and had been forwarding DNC emails. Magically, once the hacker died, Rove's political analysis became useless. Fuck that guy. The guy put in charge of Iraq's economy thought the answer to dealing with widespread hunger and deprivation was the free market. He created investment firms to try and get capital to factories in a literal war zone and then got confused why no one was investing. He then gave some money to lots of Iraqis, a begrudging welfare program, but he did it through a single-use credit card. 90% of Iraq's phone lines were down, and accordingly, no one could process payments from the cards. The Bush administration was fucking wild and often just deleted, shredded lots of stuff. In the moment there was a FOIA request, they routinely framed journalists making FOIA requests as terrorist enablers. Dude, see, this is one of the key things that people need to remember. When America is in war, anytime you stray away, anytime you even dare question the official narrative, you're fucking on the side. Despite the fact that I have openly fucking shit on Vladimir Putin nonstop from the goddamn jump, the fact that I was fucking critical of Ukraine in any capacity was seen and is still defended to this fucking day by people who are not even working for the State Department, but fucking YouTube channels as my genuine interest in being a Vladimir Putin agent. Think about how fucking insane that is. To this fucking day, they claim I'm pro-Putin. You're an analyst, a commentator? No, I didn't come here for tarot card shit. I mean, my assumption was also identical to like every other person, including Zelensky at the time. Vice President told the senator to go fuck yourself on the floor of the Capitol after the senator apologized to him, apologized for having to investigate ties from the VP's office of the company he was CEO of. Yeah, he told Pat Leahy to go fuck himself. The VP also shot a man in the face and was rumored to be drunk out of his mind when he did it and forced him to apologize for getting shot. That was really funny. That was what we were talking about. Birdshot, right in the fucking face. And then he came out and apologized for his face being in the direction of his birdshot. Something like a third of all the White House appointees were graduates of an unaccredited Christian college, and many of the HR issues that resulted from that nutty as fuck atmosphere are still sealed. The President of the United States announced in a pre-written speech that every nation is either with America or an enemy of America. The President didn't clear this with the State Department at all, and we lost a ton of allies in ways that took a decade to recover from. The vetting process for people running the Iraq War was based entirely on how optimistic they were. Several people, including diehard military hawks like Jim Webb, were ignored roundly because they accurately stated any war with Iraq would be a moronic boondoggle. We ran the most expensive military exercise ever to show the world that the U.S. could annihilate Iran. In the exercise, the U.S. military who role-played Iran absolutely destroyed billions of dollars worth of military hardware and 20,000 troops. The famous Millennium Challenge. I love this one. This one is one of my favorite, dumb things that happened. The game was then shut off, relaunched, but with new rules that rigged the game to show that we're number one. Also, a major goal with Iraq was to take it over as a staging ground for Iran. Iraq wasn't even the fucking entree. It turns out years later that the intelligence reports used by both the UK and US to invade Iraq were not only bogus, but many of them were sources literally just explaining a scene from the hit movie The Rock and pretending they were real. The largest international protester ever at that point was the protest against invading Iraq. I was a part of it. The news pretended it was much, much smaller than it was and said there couldn't be that many unpatriotic Americans. Chelsea Clinton counter-protested it in England. This book, which created conspiracy theory that Iraq created 9/11, somehow this never gets mentioned as the 9/11 conspiracy theory, despite being the most consequential one of all. How Al-Qaeda's collaboration with Saddam Hussein has endangered America by Stephen F. Hayes. After telling people that the U.S. could topple any moment at the height of our fears and more fragile than ever, the president choked on a pretzel while eating alone and passed out. That was awesome. And he had bruises on his face, too, because he fell down face first. Yeah, he almost died eating a fucking pretzel, which was really funny. I remember this, literally in Turkey. I was in Turkey at the time, and I remember this. I also remember him falling off of a Segway, which at the time was being sold as impossible to fall off of. Segways were literally sold originally as these groundbreaking machines, right? Everybody's going to have one of these fucking dorkmobiles. Every single person. I remember it at the time. And then George W. Bush fell off of one. A football star left a career and money on the table to serve his country. He immediately found out that the war was total bullshit. This is Pat Tillman, famous story of Pat Tillman. And after he started making a ruckus about the U.S., a U.S. soldier shot him in the back of the head by mistake. That was no mistake. The things that the military did after his death are way fucking worse, too. They still claim, obviously, it was, accidental, that they shot at his position. Oh, the president stole the election. That was another one, obviously. Florida was polling D3, D+3 days before the election. Bush's brother purged black names from the polls as well as like-sounding names. And then once the recount began, dudes in nice suits literally just walked in and shut down the recount. His brother was the governor at the time. Governor Jeb Bush, please clap. 3 current members of the Supreme Court sitting right now helped this illegal shutdown in person and were present. You can literally find pictures of Amy Coney Barrett smiling for the camera at it. Brett Kavanaugh as well. Doug Stanhope pissed off Fox News a bit about how Al-Qaeda clearly doesn't hate us for our freedoms because there's nations in Europe that are much freer and they go un-9/11. Patrice O'Neill got a Fox crew that burst out laughing mid-segment while talking about free speech. Clear Channel, which was the most right-wing champions of the war, rebranded to iHeartMedia. That's before, though. I mean, that happened later. That's what I was laughing about earlier. Clear Channel published a memo of songs you weren't allowed to play on the radio because they were anti-American or hurt the troops. Democrats chose John Kerry to run in 2004 because he was wildly decorated Vietnam War vet with legitimacy established in his patriotism. So Republicans just said he lied to get his medals and wore fake Purple Hearts. This is a fundamental HasanAbi trope at this point. I want you all to remember, what do I always say? You can never outflank the Republicans on patriotism. They own patriotism, whatever they call patriotism in this fucking country. I'm sick and tired of Democrats who literally did not learn from the lessons of 2004 and just kept doing it over and over again. Literally to this day, they still do this. They're like, no. You don't understand. We're the real patriots. Look at our military veterans. And then a Republican will come out and be like, the military is gay now, and you should say the N-word. That's patriotism. And every Republican will go, that's right. That is patriotic. Military is gay now. Oh, I mean, don't forget the anti-Soviet warrior put his army on the road to peace. Wait, who's that? Bin Laden in 1993. What? This thing, which was supposedly about terror, but was actually just used as a media gimmick for the administration's political goals, implying the nation was more at danger when the admin faced controversy. Do you guys remember the terror threat levels? Oh, yeah. The one thing that the American media actually hid, as a chatter pointed out, before I forget, they did hide the atrocities being done on literal American soldiers, okay? American soldiers were getting fucking owned left and right, and they hid it. They told media companies to stop showing dead soldiers coming back in caskets because, unfortunately, that was actually hurting the war efforts. The 22 million emails of the Bush administration lost much in the same way a child might lose their Brussels sprouts during dinner. Oh, Bill Clinton was traveling around the world with a billionaire known for his love of younger ladies. No, not Epstein, though him too. Ron Burkle in his private plane deemed Airfuck One. That's right, 2 separate billionaires with clandestine planes for boning. A Confederate-themed country music group of women named the Dixie Chicks were canceled for saying they were ashamed of Bush, and fans drove over it with a tractor. They destroyed Dixie Chicks CDs. Not much has changed, by the way. They did that with Bud Light already. Al-Qaeda turned out basically to be 20 guys and not a whole army. The videos Osama made, he literally had to hire extras for them because otherwise his operation would have looked so much less intimidating. The Onion, full of Looney Tune lefties at the time, put out this piece, which was a more honest approach to what was happening in the culture and country than literally any piece of media before or since. This war will destabilize the entire Mideast region and set off a global shockwave of anti-Americanism versus no, it won't. Here is John Kerry Swiftboat.
Personally raped, cut off ears, cut off heads.
The accusations that John Kerry made against the veterans who served in Vietnam was just devastating.
Randomly shot at civilians.
And it hurt me more than any physical wounds I had.
Cut off limbs, blown up bodies.
That was part of the torture, was to sign a statement that you had committed war crimes.
Razed villages in fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan.
John Kerry gave the enemy for free what I and many of my comrades in North Vietnam in the prison camps.
He was right, by the way. Like, he was totally right about that. But of course, there's no, you just can't. It doesn't matter if you've literally personally done the fucking ear cutting and the rape. Okay, if you're a Democrat, you're a pussy, you're gay, you're soy, and your badges for the war crimes that you committed in Vietnam are fake and gay. When will we get over this? You know what I mean? Liberals, they're fake and gay. They don't actually do real war. You know who does real war? Donald Trump. Okay, who actually didn't go to war. He did not. He dodged the draft, which was probably the best thing he's ever done in his life, and totally justifiable. Except he did it because he was rich. He was able to. But it doesn't matter because what did Donald Trump say? He said, "I like my war heroes to not be captured by the fucking Vietnamese." He said that about John McCain, and everybody still celebrated him because you can't outflank Republicans or whoever the hero of the Republican Party is at the time. Speaking of going crazy with narratives, I want to show you this one that is another one of my favorites. George Danby, courtesy of the Bangor Daily News, made this incredible piece of art, fighting terrorism abroad and fighting terrorism at home by shopping. For those of you who do not know, post 9/11, a lot of the fears that people had about terrorism also caused them to stop purchasing shit. So it's not a satire on consumers? No, I don't think this is a satire on consumers. From afar, you probably think, oh, this is like making fun of people who think they're like doing their part. No, this is unironic. This is unironically what the Bush administration said immediately after 9/11. They said, go out and shop. It is the patriotic thing to do. We need to show those terrorists that we are not afraid to go out and get jalapeno poppers at Applebee's. If you think I'm joking, I don't know what to tell you. I am not. This country was not born with this mental illness overnight. This took many, many years of development. Some of you were too young to recognize it. Some of you weren't alive back then. But let me tell you, our brains have been broken for a very, very long time. Okay, one more. 9/11 cartoons that did not age well. He's an inspiration to millions. His leadership is unmatched. Would you two shut up about Giuliani? That's what Bin Laden is saying. Like, get it? Osama Bin Laden is like jealous of Rudy Giuliani being America's mayor. Oh yeah, here it is. How 9/11 convinced America's the bye. Consumer patriotism is the American way. Madden and Leary had partnered with a launch line of sneakers called the Bravest to raise money for the families of the fallen New York fighters. But Madden's company failed to actually put any of the proceeds towards a purported cause. After reporters caught wind of what was going on, Madden's company agreed to send 10% of its profits from the shoes to Leary's charity. Still then, Madden CEO Jamie Carson shrugged it off. The most patriotic thing we can do, he told the New York Times at the time, is make money. In an address to the nation in the evening of the 9/11 attacks, this is literally after the 9/11 attacks happened, the night
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices. Secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into...
Yeah, meanwhile, Dick Cheney was in the other side of the room behind the camera licking his lips. Dick rock hard. He had a fat one. Dick Cheney, well, he's not dead yet, unfortunately. Still has a fat cock. His fat ass cock's so fucking hard, he needs like the third triple bypass because all the blood is pumping into his fat cock, thinking about dead Iraqi children in the night of 9/11. He's like, how do I turn this into a profit for Halliburton? Why do you know that? They used to call him Big Dick Cheney in college, where he would model in the nude for art students.
With the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could.
At least the heroic emergency workers were well taken care of in the aftermath of this. Yeah, you're right. Silver lining. Surely they didn't take 14 fucking years to fund their health care, right? Because they were all dying of cancer. I mean, certainly the American government that has endless budgets probably allocated some to the fucking first responders on 9/11. No. Here's another wonderful time.
There was constant discussion about him hiding out in caves, and I think many times the American people have a perception that it's a little hole dug out of the side of a mountain.
Oh, no.
This is it. This is a fortress. Yes. A complex, multi-tiered, bedrooms and offices on the top, as you can see. Secret exits on the side and on the bottom.
Bedrooms and offices. Like a fucking Bond villain, dude. I remember this. There are better images than this one. Because I used to draw a lot back then, and I remember like using that as inspiration for like an underground bunker that I drew.
It's a very sophisticated operation.
Oh, you bet. This is serious business. And there's not one of those. There are many of those.
Yeah, there are many of those. Annual thread of editorial cartoons from the fall of 2001. Enjoy the best editorial cartoons of the year. Now, I think personally, to understand the psychic damage, the spiritual weirdness of the American public consciousness in the aftermath of 9/11, these political cartoons are perfect. Q, what do you call it when you kill innocent men, women, and children? A holy war. Uh-oh, he's getting up. And he don't look none too happy. It perfectly resembled the attitude that people had. They were scarred. They were traumatized. They were in fear. They were in fear anytime, anywhere. Terrorism, it can happen in your backyard. This was 100% the attitude at the time. That it happened in New York. It can happen in Duluth. It can happen in Gurnee, Illinois. It can happen in Peoria. That was a very real fear. People thought, Osama bin Laden is going to bomb Idaho, which was fucking ridiculous. But the frenzy was very much alive. And it got significantly worse because of the anthrax attacks that were happening alongside. And of course, the first hate crime in the immediate aftermath of 9/11 was a Sikh man in Texas. Sikh. They thought that he was a Muslim, and they shot and killed him in a bar. I think it was a bar, which should have given you the first indication that this was not a Muslim person. But anyway, he was working at a gas station? My bad. I thought he was at a bar. Whenever I hear people talk about how united America was, it triggers the fuck out of me. Because yes, America was united in their hatred against a enemy that was both inside of their ranks and also on foreign soil. The entire Muslim world, the entire population, the entire world of Islam was the main enemy. There's some of these, but this one is my favorite. America's hour of needing each other. To think I always hated cops. To think I always hassled blacks. This from John Slade, courtesy of Louisiana Weekly. is like the perfect depiction. Every facet of media, every outlet, every orifice, everything was like, fuck Muslims. Muslims are all terrorists. They're all bad. Anyone that's like even kind of brown, I will not make, I will not even try to figure out what kind of brown. I just like, you're all terrorists. We talk about xenophobia and how much it beefed up and anti-Asian hate crimes during COVID. Now imagine that times like 100 with also active war that the U.S. State Department needed to justify to the American population, which they didn't even have to justify really. At that point, the American population was bloodthirsty, okay? They were bloodthirsty. They were out. They wanted something. They wanted war. Christian reaction, real-time holy war.
We saw on Tuesday, as terrible as it is, could be minuscule if in fact God continues to lift the curtain and allow the enemies of America to give us probably what we deserve.
Jerry, that's my feeling. I think we've just seen the antechamber to terror. We haven't even begun.
This was the funniest part about, like, back then, other people were also 9/11 Andes. The OG 9/11 Andes were the far-right evangelical Christian pastors. Pat Robertson, rest in piss, was one of the first OG 9/11 Andes who basically agreed with Osama bin Laden on 9/11 and was like, yeah, America deserved it because we are gay and we have strayed away from God's grace. I'm not justifying any of the hatred that happened, but you didn't live here, man, and you don't know the fear that gripped this nation during the time. We thought 9/11 would and could happen again anywhere at any time. Brother, I do understand that. I'm covering it, and I'm telling you why. Like, I'm giving you the reason as to why people felt that way. I'm trying to explain to you why people felt that way, despite the fact that, like, it was a laughable notion, like, to consider that, like, it would happen in fucking Duluth. I'm talking about the propaganda that played a role. I'm talking about the anthrax attacks that also played a role in this as well, that greatly beefed up the narrative. Why is this happening where you are just like repeating another one of my takes, but in a contentious manner in the chat? I was in Iraq watching it happen on TV, and literally every conversation on the street was about how the Americans will attack Iraq after everyone knew. Yeah. There was a collective fear in every Muslim country that, like, it was over. You know what I mean? Every fucking Muslim nation was going to have to suffer the consequences. Some way worse than others, of course, but everyone's lives were going to be changed after that day. There are veterans in here that are obviously very conflicted about their active duty and their time in the military, who joined immediately after 9/11. Like, so many of the veterans in this community, at least, are 9/11 vets, joined immediately after 9/11. Bush's approval rating skyrocketed to, 91%, I think. There was a rally around the flag effect, as we like to call it. And so many people rushed to join the military immediately after 9/11. Nowadays, it's more so the poverty draft, but back then it was like, yeah, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to join the military. They were whipped up in a fucking frenzy over this act of hubris. And if you didn't support the war, then you hated America. Oh, yeah. People yell at you if you stray away from the American State Department line, even now. But it's nothing in comparison to the having to say anything that is like a little, even slightly anti-fucking war, especially in the time frame between 2001 and 2003. 2003 was when the scales tipped a little bit in the other direction because Iraq happened. And when Iraq happened, people were like, oh, we're going a little too far. But this kind of vengeance, this interest in vengeance, this bloodthirst was satiated. I mean, it's not because the American government didn't react in the way that it did because the public demanded it. Like, they weren't like, oh man, we got to be vengeful. We got to do revenge because the people demanded. Of course, that's not how the American government works. That's not how the American government works. That's never how the American government has worked. And it's never going to be how the American government works. However, that vengeance certainly helped. That interest, that very real interest in vengeance, certainly helped sell this war. People don't realize that you literally couldn't walk around outside with a hijab or go to school being a Muslim. Yeah, You ever hear about the U.S. being at odds with France at this time? I remember people trying to call French fries freedom fries. I'm not even joking. Yes. Yeah. France was against the Iraq War. That's why they turned French fries into freedom fries. When did the real heat against Muslims start to cool off? I mean, it's been 20 years of like endless fucking death and destruction. Muslim hate was still happening at the start of the Trump administration. I think the turning point I think was under the Trump administration, actually. Because when you think about it, like, I don't really remember when it shifted overnight, but I think the Muslim ban really was the reason why a lot of liberals were back on maybe we shouldn't say fuck Muslims as hard anymore, because liberals are also reactionary. They do not have strong convictions that are guided by their own moral compass or anything.